We are at Byton Design Studio here in Munich, and this is the what do you call it again? The design,
We are here into the modeling hall.
Modeling hall.
Yeah.
Yes. So I understand that not many people are allowed in here with cameras. So this is a pretty exclusive opportunity. And with me I have Benoit. You are the chief designer. Or what was you had a very fancy title.
They call me VP of Design, but basically like I'm taking care of the Byton design since now basically 1 year and a half.
Yeah, and you have a background in you have background in car industry, eh?
I've been working now as a car designer for I think about more than 20 years.
20 years?
Started in France, then at Renault, stayed there for a couple of years actually until 2000, worked a little bit for the Volkswagen Group, and then moved in 2004 for BMW, where I actually spent the longest of my career until now.
Okay.
I stayed there until 2016.
So did you also design, do you design the i3 and the i8? Or?
Not me, but the team I was leading, and so did I also over many projects over this career. All time with the thing. I mean, car designer was for me as a kid already a dream. I wanted to be a car designer, so started with exterior design and moving, having more responsibility also to some of the faculties of car design. Learning also like interior design, color and trim, and be at some point able to lead the whole process.
Yeah. So we have the Byton M-Byte behind us here. I shown it it was in Oslo earlier. So this car it's so different from other cars, in many ways. Let's start with the big screen.
The big screen.
Yeah, the huge screen.
Really big screen.
Yeah. And many people, they are concerned about that big screen is a distraction. It obstructs the view or whatever, I mean, what can you tell about the big, how did you guys figure out that we need such a big screen?
Okay, so let's look at it from different point of view. First, the idea of big screen is not really a new idea. Like you see that quite often in many show cars. If you observe a little bit the many show cars since many years, like it is pretty clear that there will be a need to stage information, digital content, and deliver this content in the best possible way. What is actually new about us is we do it for real. That means this is not show business, because until then big screen have been like really show business, and for some reason it does not happen. The one that we can guess are of course the fact it's highly complex to develop. There's of course some legal requirements, you mentioned about that, but we thought that actually we should really be committed towards that and do it for real. And the reason is, left alone a couple of, let's say, challenge, but as you said in your question, of course it's not obstructing the view, because like everything that we do, of course, fulfill legal requirements. For example, you need a 5-degree angle down minimum, and this is what the lawmaker is requesting from the eye point to any top point, the hood, or be it screen, be it the wipers, whatever it is, and we fulfill to these requirements.
Yeah, I mean, we can see it in the back here that there is no big screen pointing out here.
That's the thing. The motivation behind this really big screen, we have several. One is, of course, like sharing, like the digital content. It has to be big enough in such a way, especially of the central area of the screen, that it can be seen from every passenger. Because we at Byton do not want to only focus on the driver, but instead also with the people that will be on board for the journey. That's also extremely relevant when it comes to car sharing scenarios or many others. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is, of course, updatability. Because this is maybe the first time in the car industry that we now have to create a product that's going to have to incorporate very different life cycle. Until then, a car was designed maybe for the next 7 years, and eventually would get a facelift, but that would be it in terms of updatability. Now we will be able to bring some digital content, which of course has very different life cycle. It's no longer the next 7 or 8 years, but it's maybe coming next week. Will be hyped for 6 months, will be gone again, and so on. And in a way, that big screen is for us a way to adapt probably to some use case that we don't even know at that point of time. Like this is also a good thing. We have to also create a stage not only for information or overload of information, but instead maybe for use case that we don't even know at that point of time. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So this is a little bit the motivation behind that.
Okay, but I want to talk a little bit more about the big screen. Because
not a problem. Let's talk about the big screen.
Because it creates some discussion. Like, you know, some people are concerned, like if you drive at night with no street light out in the bush, you know, will the big screen be, I mean, it's like a night mode, so it will like not be too bright and too...
I mean, there is nothing more flexible than digital. You can decide to get it black or white or whatever. So the advantage is like the content can adapt to the context. And of course, we will have like some scenario, use case, or situation where you cannot display everything at a given context. Sometimes this car will be autonomous driving, you will be able to show more. You will have to drive actively, you may have to show a little less. And for sure, at night, you will probably not expect, you know, to have like a very bright and shiny screen, but instead to have like something that calms. Or eventually, it would be good to wake you up if ever you start to feel asleep. Whichever way. But the thing is, again, it is reactive, it is flexible, and this is why we decided to basically do it for real.
That's because like you mentioned in the beginning, right? All the other car manufacturers, they show something, but then it never goes into production. But the car we have behind us here is close to production. Right?
Yeah, in our case, doing too much show business or is a luxury that we can't really afford. We are a startup. We depend also from shareholders. There's a given agenda when it comes to SOP, start of production. We can't really afford ourselves to get lost into whatever vision and do inspiration trips or whatever things before we start working. We have to start working on the product right from the beginning. And the car that you see behind is more than a show car, but simply more the beta variant of the car that's going to hit the street next year.
Oh wow! Already next year,
Speed.
So I also noticed that this car does not have side mirrors. It's just this camera thing here. So that is also something you decided to push forward, because some cars, you know, they have it in the concept and then it disappears in the production.
This is, of course, as I said, this concept is also a beta car, and we've been looking at some aspects, especially when it comes to the user interface and UX as well, probably in a bit more radical, maybe idealistic way. Now it is clear that in some countries by 2019 and 2020, this will still not be street legal. We will also have to have like conventional mirrors. But showing that and building it into the car, we have also some other features such as like face recognition, is a way to challenge not only engineer but also lawmaker, and in a way like create a dialogue and force them to adapt the law, given the fact that this could help, for example, a safer driving, or bring a contribution, as I said, to more safety, or more generally at the benefit of the whole society.
No, but why not have both? You know, just have the conventional mirror plus the camera. Wouldn't that satisfy? I mean, both autonomy sensors and also, you know,
both would mean redundancy, and redundancy is really something that you only apply if you really have no option. But I think we still have the option, and it's then engineering overkill.
Okay.
We should instead be elegant and always look for the simplest solution. So, of course, in some market, we may still have to have like the conventional mirror, but we would like to also bring at some point the camera mirrors because they are beneficial for aerodynamics, for example. They reduce the frontal surface, and in a way, it is also more elegant. It is easier to integrate because very often, when it comes to customer feedback or from test clinic or all this sort of thing, people very often like the design but always have a problem with mirrors because they either look too big or clumsy or whatever. So this has a positive effect on, let's say, functionality as well as on, let's say, aesthetics.
Okay, well, you see,
so we keep fighting.
Yes, well, I mean, I like them, but my concern is like countries like Norway. We have long winters, and they salt the road, and we have snow, ice. If you park this car in the snow, or you might get ice on the camera.
But you can have some systems who can overcome this problem. You can, for example, clean the lens with
you need like
water. You can do that with hot water. This is already existing on some camera or sensor systems.
On the Nissan,
There's many cars. It's not rocket science. It's only hot water.
Yes. Yeah, that would work.
Very easy.
Yeah.
We don't have to reinvent that.
But also, the whole the whole car. I mean, we talk about the screen and all that, but I mean, the rest of the car is also pretty like groundbreaking compared to other cars on the market or coming on the market today. Like when I sat in the car, it felt so open, almost too open. But so you're still going to make it like very open with a
Yeah, the idea is to focus more on the driver and passenger. And anyway, it's an electric car, so the technology is a little bit more compact. I mean, of course, you still need under the hood quite a bit of components, but we were able to shift that away from the let's say the living room. The car is like also something that we look. As well as our inspiration. We not only look at car industry. When we design the interior of that car, we've been looking at airplane interiors, we've been looking at sofas, furniture, all these sort of things. And what can we learn from that is, of course, like push the wall as far as you can. Of course, it's still a car. We try to maintain that in a relatively reasonable footprint. But nevertheless, there's a few opportunities that we were able to have. Flat floor, the rotating seats are also interesting, not only from the front passenger perspective, but also from the rear, because like in this very case, and if the car can legally drive in this context, that means that you also have like a better view towards the front and the big screen, actually. So this is a little bit the motivation for these rotating seats.
But those rotating seats, will they make it to the production, and are they legal?
They are legal, of course, in very given condition. It's not completely street legal at that point of time. But we believe, and this is also our startup is thinking. Typically, like conventional manufacturer would say, okay, forbidden, 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 don't do. And basically, like it's not really progressing. Here we have like a bit of a different approach. We know that some things are probably not street legal, but with a bit of dialogue and a bit of pressure and innovation, I think we can also make the law context a little bit progressing and changing in such a way. Of course, if we prove that we can drive safer with autonomous drive, that actually you can have, like for example, these new functions, which would then at the very end be a benefit from the driver and the passenger. Or all the passenger, because at some point in L3 or L4 level of autonomous driving, then you only have passenger. You have no longer a driver, and they will probably want to sit and interact differently.
But I have also some questions about this is the M-Byte.
Yes.
You also have the K-Byte.
K-Byte, yes.
What is the difference between the M-Byte and the K-Byte in like size or shape, or
I mean, first of all, the two concepts are very different. The K-Byte is a sedan.
Okay.
That was, as we communicated many times already in our strategy, and we took the opportunity to visualize it during the last CES, like this year in China. That was in June. We took, with the K-Byte, the opportunity to sharpen a little bit our design strategy and kind of confirming first what we feel very strong about the Byton design, which should show you a high level of clarity and gives you also the feeling that this is probably the most modern car you could be driving. And you do that through a very high-tech treatment of details, for example. But this concept is interesting because at the beginning we thought, sedan is a little bit, let's say, old-fashioned, old school. But here in this team, nothing is impossible. We like to take also like challenge and kind of disagree with some sort of reality and said, okay, let's really invent the idea of sedan. We believe it can still be cool. And I think the results speak for itself. It's a very clean, very modern sedan. Very techy, of course, not only by the presence of the sensors that we have for autonomous driving, but also through its shape language, which for me really shows where we want to develop Byton as a brand. Okay. That means something that also achieves a lot with very little.
Okay, what makes the K-Byte stand out as a sedan then? I mean, how is it different from other sedans, the K-Byte?
First of all, from a design character, it is very architectural when you look at it, and if you, it looks simple, but it's actually very complex in the shape treatment. It has a side also, or a character, which I find very radical, like because it's not so much ornament. If you look at the design, it's very few lines, just at the right place, and in a way, they suggest also the intuitive character that a Byton should have as an object, as a product. Byton is a brand that should always try to make your life much simpler than it ever was while on the move.
Yeah. Well, that was a very long, nice discussion about it. So I think that's it for now. Very interesting. I would like to talk more, but we just
could spend the whole day there.
Yeah. But I guess if you guys have any questions, you can ask, and I will try to figure out, or maybe even make a follow-up video. Yes. But thank you so much for taking the time.
Very good.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Yes. Thank you. So that's it for now then. I hope you guys enjoyed this. So talk to you later.